And then the last thing is dialectic into dialogos. So now they're ready to try the more directly Socratic practice. And so what that looks like is, again,
I'm literally giddy right now. I'm literally giddy. But please continue.
Well, thank you for that. So what you do in just to be clear why I use the somewhat awkward phrase, dialectic is something you can practice. Dialogos is something that you can only participate in, right? Let me give you an analogy. I can teach you things that will make you better at getting into a good conversation, but I can't teach you the art of do this and I guarantee you'll be in a good conversation, because a good conversation has to have a life of its own. It has to have a logos of its own. So the point is for people, they do this practice, but what it does is it's only to afford this, right, this sense of the logos. And I'll talk a little bit what that means in a sec. So you bring people in and you follow the Socratic Platonic model. What we're going to do a topic. You're going to bring all this machinery, mindfulness, and circling, and the sense of Sophia, wisdom, philosophical, right, engagement, and you're going to bring it in, and now you're going to do it with each other. And the topic is going to be, like it always is, and there's very good reason for this, it's going to be a virtue. Because the thing about a virtue is it's both philosophical, but it's personal. So, so you say, so the first person's going to pick a virtue. Let's say it's honesty. And then what they're going to do is they're going to say, they're not going to state a third person definition, blah, 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 proposition. They're going to say, I propose that honesty is this. There's the next person in the line. Their job is to draw them out and say, and in multiple ways, they can ask them a question. Can you say a little bit more? Or they can note back to them. I noticed when you were talking about honesty, you made a fist. Go back and make a fist. What's going on there when you make a fist, when you're telling me what honesty is? Right? So you get people, what you're doing is acting like a Socratic mirror and getting people to go deeper.
Would you mind if we do it with
Sure.
honesty?
Sure.
Okay, we'll just do it. You don't have to go. I don't know. This might be a long process, but we'll just go a little bit. So you started off. So you would say, I propose that the virtue we're going to talk about is honesty.
Honesty. Are you going to question me, or do you want me to question you?
Well, you question me. You're the leader of this exercise here.
So pick. Yeah. So what I would say is, can you give me a proposal as to? And so let's give a little bit of background. You'll have been instructed, don't just monologue, pause periodically so I can have a space to interact with you, ask you questions. Both people should, as much as possible, avoid going off into, sort of masturbating their autobiographies. Right? Okay. Try to stay on the joint project of disclosing what this particular virtue is. Okay.
Honesty. I propose that honesty is the authentic expression of your being beyond words.
So I noticed when you were doing that your hand would go like this, and then like this, and then like this, and then like this. What was going on when you were doing that?
As I expanded my hand, I was indicating that there was an expansiveness to the honesty, a more holisticness to the honesty. And as I contracted my hand, I was referring to the condensation of something into a word, which I believe and propose is always a little bit of a miss, a sin, a missing the mark to honesty itself.
That's very interesting. So what are you feeling is the relationship then between the expanse and the narrowing? Can you unfold that for me a little? And what does that tell us about honesty? So I'm asking you not just to tell me what your mind is thinking about honesty, but how your mind is thinking about honesty, how you might even be exemplifying honesty. So what's going on there? Can you unpack that a little bit more, please?
Honesty, to me, has to be felt in a way that's beyond just the reduction to a single sense, the reduction to what we would ascribe to the mind. It has to be felt with both heart resonance. It has to be felt through the emotional body. It has to be absorbed through the intellect. and it has to be coherent with all of these different things to be truly honest. It has to encompass a more holistic view of our totality.
That's very interesting, because I noticed your gesturing changed its dimensionality. Your hand became like this, your arm became very vertical, it kept moving much more up and down and looping like this. So what were you conveying? So you're now adding sort of complexity in a revealing manner to the dimensionality of honesty. What was the up, down, and the looping? What was going on there?
I believe that we're multidimensional selves, that our self cannot be condensed and identified on one, loca of consciousness existence. It's far larger and more encompassing than we normally attribute. And so to be honest, you have to account for the complexity and the robustness of the totality of who we are as this multidimensional consciousness, as an expression of the mind of God itself.
So that's really interesting. So now I might not be understanding you, but let me see. It sounds like there's honesty is in some way connecting. It's like a through line in all this dimensionality. What does that through line feel like? How is it different than, for example, another virtue, perhaps like kindness? Like, what's that through line through that dimensionality that makes it honesty as opposed to kindness?
I haven't thought through all of the other virtues in this way. However, when you say kindness, my instinct is to say that kindness is exactly the same, that kindness must also encompass the entirety and the totality of who we are to truly be kind, other than being transactional, other than being self-serving, other than being some idea that we're being a good boy or a good girl and we're doing this. It has to be authentic from all levels, heart, mind, spirit, and all our dimensional reality.
So what I'm hearing you say is that both honesty and kindness, insofar as their virtues, are doing this, pan-dimensional, multidimensional integration. What makes them different then? Because remember, you did this.
Honesty is kind, but it's only always kind on the broadest expanse and in the broadest context, because there's certain timing and there's certain acknowledgement of the other person that might mean that honesty may not be kind in a certain situation. For example, someone is already having a very difficult time and you have another very difficult thing to express. To stack them too close would not violate, but it wouldn't be helpful to their pacing and calibration, their ability to absorb. So there's a way in which kindness can actually shield temporarily, and it must be temporarily, but shield certain expressions of honesty to give people time to assimilate and to assimilate what you're saying.
That's amazing. So you're talking now, and your hands are doing this gesture of coordination and resonance. So you're saying there's difference. There's perhaps, I've heard you saying something like there's maybe a risk to honesty, and that kindness and honesty are now sort of counterbalancing each other. Is there also the reverse? Does kindness need honesty as much as honesty needs kindness?
Kindness needs the honesty of the heart, and it needs the honesty of intention. Always. It cannot exist without honesty of the heart and honesty of your intention. It can withhold the honesty of factual expression or opinionated expression of a certain topic.
So now we're going to do it. We've done it for almost about 15 minutes. All of this now said, in no more than a sentence or two, what's honesty?
Honesty is is a form of love.
And that's different from where you were when you started.
Yes.
So that's what it looks like.
It's amazing. I love it.
And then what happens next is I would say to you, right? This is what I was doing it throughout, but I would say to you, this is what I heard you saying. And I would say this back to you until you agree that I have understood you. I would say like, what I heard you saying, right, was honesty was, a way of being authentic, but in a multi-dimensional fashion that encompassed a lot of the different facets and aspect of a human being. And honesty is also part of what it is to be honest, is to be in relationship to other virtues in a coordinated manner. I was hearing you say all of this, and that's why you summed it up in something that's very comprehensive like that, like love. Did I understand you?
You understood me.
Okay, yeah. So then, right, once I get the acknowledgement, then I would say, here's what I learned. I'd say, I hadn't thought about honesty in that sort of multi-dimensional way that you articulated. That was very insightful. Then I might say what I found mysterious. I got a sense of mystery towards the end because and you started it from the very beginning with these sort of expansiveness, and somehow it goes out like this and comes in like this, but that expanse got really big for me. That was the mystery. And there was times when you were falling into silence because I could tell you were stepping back and I got to try and see what's going on here. and then I would also say what I thought might be missing. And I'd say, for me, one of the things I thought was missing from this was the relationship between honesty and truth. For me, that's an important thing. And then I would do this. I would turn to the next person and I would make use of everything that I've had with you, but I would build on it by bringing in what I thought was missing, try to go deeper into the mystery. I'd say all of that multidimensionality, but for me, honesty also has to involve the truth in some important way. And then the next person in the quartet would do with me what I just did with you, and then you circle all the way around.
And so for people who want to really dive in and learn how to do this is a great initial kind of explication and understanding of how to do this. But you have a platform, a way that you're teaching people how to do this?
So, I mean, we've done the workshop and we're going to do it more. I'm actually in the process of trying to get properly certified in circling. There are sort of some legal issues. I mean, Guy and I are working together.
You're certified. I certify you myself.
But thank you. So like I said, we're going to do more workshops, and I would invite people to come to them. We do them virtually, and we might do some in person. There's a book that Chris and I edited, Chris Mastropietro and I edited, and we both contributed to called Inner and Outer Dialogues, where I give the background of dialectic into dialogos, the historical philosophical background, and then lay out this program. So this is very much a work in progress. This is sort of the cutting edge of what I've been trying to do in responding to the meaning crisis. So this has been sort of something basically since the series came out in 2019. This is what I've been diving into, both theoretically, academically, and practically and existentially. This is the cutting edge of what I'm trying to get people engaged in. And there's other things there's other practices. I'm not claiming that dialectic into dialogos is exclusive. There's many other practices, right? There's inquiry, there's Buddhist dialogue, and there's families, and they can be properly coordinated. Also, there are practices like Edwin Reusch's empathy circling that you use when people are much more confrontational, to get them into a shared space so that they can then move through this program that I just took you through.